right, welcome back for the second sit-down of our several, many podcasts. As we like to do, we just record 6,000 podcasts in one sitting, and that's what we're doing. Welcome back, Tom. You didn't go anywhere, but welcome back.
We did go somewhere.
Oh, wait, that's a lie.
Fuck, we went to go get halal food.
We did. Okay, that's a lie. I lied.
Which was really good, and it's just that we have a tendency, because we do pretty long sessions of getting a lot of episodes in, that we order a lot of food, which is great. I mean, food is good for the soul.
Of course.
But I think we put too much where we suffocate our soul.
I think we did better today, though. We didn't overdo it. We didn't overkill our consumption. Mm-mm. I mean, the beers that I'm drinking now might not be helping, but
no. Last time I came to Damon's apartment and I drank some dark beer with a stout.
It was
right?
Dunkin' Porter
Espresso.
coffee stout or something like that.
I drank 2 of those and they just really sat in my stomach. And then we got Popeyes and I almost threw. For about an hour we had to stop recording because I was gonna throw up. And at a certain point I worked myself up to do it, and then but at the same time, I couldn't do it.
I think that was the last podcast I dropped. It was that, and I was surprised at how well we were able to pause and like work around the issues.
And we finished.
I mean, from what I edited, it sounded fine. You don't get any instance of us having to leave and come back and all that shit.
So we were eating our lunch, and Damien and I started getting into this pretty good conversation.
Yeah, I forgot everything.
And so Damien at first was like, he goes, I sound like we're doing the podcast right now. And I said, I was like, yeah, right. And so we kept talking. Then we were saying a couple of things, and then I was like, you know what, fuck this.
We had the Bill O'Reilly click in our head. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
We'll do it live, exactly. And I was like, fuck it. Let's actually. So we like put everything down, turned around, and got on the mics. And basically, what we were talking about is the sort of knowing your worth. And, whether you feel or not that the stuff that your tasks that you do for a job is worth the amount that you get paid every week or something like that. Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, it was kind of the gist of it. Or working your ass off, and whether or not that paycheck that you get at the end of the week is worth your, if it's worth your back-breaking effort throughout the week.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, we went into detail with, CVS and stuff, back with them. And I'll never forget one of the worst times I've ever had in CVS, upon the fact that every day was a bad
I was just going to say, you mean every single day?
Right. Was when I worked because after a certain point they were paying bi-weekly. So I did 2 full 40-hour weeks, 5 days,
right.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm. And
I never really had the time to do full 5 weeks, but it was one of those months where I had the opportunity, so I took it. And I remember back then I had like $300 I owed on my Discover card, which when you're like 18, 19, it's a lot of money.
I was one of the stupid youngins to apply for so many different credit cards, and a lot of them responded back to me. I was paying off. I'm still paying off credit cards now, but I didn't know any better then, and I wish I knew what I know now about credit cards back then. I mean, that's as with every other fucking thing with life, but
I mean, so that's the thing. So, I had a credit. I only had one credit card, and that's all I was using if I needed. And I was using it for books and shit. And I remember the manager coming up to us.
I just want to add something to that. You were using your credit cards for important things like books and stuff, right?
Yeah. When I use it for movies.
I was using not even. Well, yes, that is true. But I was using mine for 7-Eleven runs, and gas and
which you need.
True, but one of the things that my sister always told me, and it's stuck with me for a good minute. But I feel like if it's something that you're using immediately, like food or something like that, it's not worth putting on a credit card that you'll be paid. Why would you pay off a sandwich? Why would you put a sandwich on a credit card to pay that off for months on end when it's something that you're going to consume and have and be done with, It's almost like a philosophical thought behind it, but at the same time, ever since she said that to me, I'm like, you know what, that's right. And I've made it a point to never put food on a credit card. Even when I go grocery shopping, it's always on a debit card or cash.
I rarely use credit cards. I'm a creature of habit with debit cards and shit.
Smarter man than me.
Yeah.
That camera I bought? Credit card.
But then some equipment I put on a credit card.
Right.
Because there comes a point where you need the extra time
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of having a credit card, even
Of
though it
course.
has its downfalls.
Yeah.
But back to the story.
I was gonna say we digress a little bit. But
Yeah, because we're not the people who
welcome
give
to our
financial
financial
advice.
TED Talk.
Yeah, that's
you should buy, you should sell.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, buy our T-shirt and then sell it.
tpublic.com. No,
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
tpublic.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tune in for the commercial.
Maybe
Link is in
they'll
the
pay
description.
if we keep plugging them. Maybe they'll pay us a little more for the T-shirts. I don't know. We'll
or
find
they'll
out.
charge us less.
Yeah.
Basically, getting that check, I think that check came out to, after 2 weeks of work, it came out to like $303. And I'll never forget, I was like...
You're talking about the CVS check, right? Yeah, I remember we talked about... I think the last podcast I dropped, we talked about that in detail, and it was...
And it's still a fact, because I remember only having $3 left after I paid my card off.
Fuck.
And there was a lot of work, man. I mean, CVS used to really make sure they got their money's worth.
It is one of those good feelings, though, of like, all right, the card is paid,
Yeah.
but now
nothing.
you've
So
got
then you want to
fucking
use the credit
crumbs.
card because you have nothing left.
Yeah, and you end up sort of like rope tied into that same back and forth process. Like, oh, well, I don't have any money.
Yeah.
So I got to use the credit card at least to make ends meet for the time being.
Sure.
But don't worry, when my next check comes, I'll pay it off. And then the cycle fucking continues unless you get a higher paying job.
Right.
Or you figure out a way to put money aside and, you know.
So we were at a certain point in our conversation, we were talking about, well, I had an email that I got reached out to for potential work.
Yeah.
And the dude that reached out to me was like setting appointments for me to do an interview when I never even spoke to this person. I just kind of responded to a job posting that they had.
In honesty, when you first mentioned it, it sounded very much like when I got job catfished on Mandy.
Yes.
It sounded like that. I mean, granted, they had a few more details about you, I guess.
Yes.
But like, I was just like, this sounds kind of.
This sounds a little sketch.
Yeah.
And so I think I think moving the side about knowing your worth. I think you also just have to be smart about kind of seeing the red flags in advance.
Right.
I think that comes with time, but you know you were explaining a lot of shit in your job and the kind of stuff that you can start seeing how they can get away with less manpower, but making sure you guys do more work.
Half the manpower, but the task list just grows
doubled.
and grows and grows.
Right.
So.
And it's like, what? I guess it begs the question of what the fuck do you do in those situations where you see those red flags? Because I brought up the example of like Metropolis and the people going to work versus coming to work in the beginning of the movie, and it's like because you were saying how you just put your head down, do your job, come home because that's what you were telling yourself. Well, I'll make it home
just to get from point A to point B, and all right, I got money coming into my bank account, but then I wonder why I get home and I'm fucking shot.
And it's hard because a lot of people don't have that option in terms of like going, well, fuck this. I'm not going to do this. Like, because a lot of people don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not here to coach people to go quit your job, try to find what you want. Because I know that's what everyone's trying to pursue.
Right.
But it's like, what do you do in those situations? It's such a tough situation.
And I mean, this is exactly why we started talking about it in the first place, because we don't have the definitive answer, but we can definitely try to talk it out and figure what is the more logical middle ground between, supporting yourself or supporting your hobby or supporting your mental stability with where you're working and what has you. So, no, I mean, I think the one thing that sort of inspired us back to record what we're talking about is I was thinking about the whole process of getting my degree in film via Starbucks.
Yes.
And it was such an encouragement for me to pursue my passion, pursue something that I've always appreciated and always have been something that I've enjoyed. I had this sort of naive mindset to go like, all right, I could quit once I get my degree. Within 3 to 6 months, I could have a film job and I could quit Starbucks and I could be fine. To the point where I almost did so without having a backup. But I ended up getting into a job that has a union and it has benefits and has a balance for the sake of not for the sake of that, but for the essential safety harness of the bigger picture things, to have a steady income. And it's kind of hard because obviously I'd love to be like a fucking film critic or a film director or a writer somewhere as a permanent job, but there's so many more moving parts in that film industry and all that, and it's not a matter of, oh, you got it. It's not even a matter of having that and keeping it, Yeah. So it's hard to have that middle ground between financial stability and mental stability and the work. So it's a loaded potato, simply.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt.
Obviously long-term goals would be to have a job. I mean, and this is, I hope everybody, you know, they want a job that they want to like enjoy going into every day, not just all right, well, this pays well.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking paying my bills off, but this shit sucks. You want to have a job that you go into and go, wow, I really made a fucking difference today. I really enjoyed this. I really love that, you know?
Sure.
I had that, and I'll be honest, I had that moment when I was working at Starbucks.
Did you really?
I did for some time when I had gotten promoted to a shift supervisor, and I knew my boss, he kind of showed that he had faith in me.
Okay.
And he knew I knew my shit, so he left a lot of things in my hands and had my back if anything went awry.
Right.
So with that in mind, it kind of gave me that like, wow, I can do this and I'm good at it, you know? But then of course as time went by and managerial changes came and you got this manager stepping on your toes and this one wanting to do that and this, it became this fucking pissy game that I had no desire to do anymore.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
So that urge of like, wow, this is something I could see myself doing became, fuck this job, fuck the headache, fuck the changes that this company keeps making. I'm not about it anymore. But
do you miss it?
No, I do not.
And that's really it.
I will say I've played this game since I started my newer jobs, since Starbucks.
Right.
I play the, well, it's still not as bad as Starbucks. It's still not as bad as Starbucks. And I will say lately, it has been seemingly getting closer to a level of being as bad. Because I remember, perfect example is my Saturdays at Starbucks were always crazy as hell and always fucking bananas and shitty, but they would zoom the fuck by.
Okay, right.
Every shift I've worked lately has been exactly that. It just bananas, everything going off in every other fucking direction. You don't know where to land. And the next thing you look at the time and it's time to clock out. Good thing and a bad thing because the work shift goes by in a heartbeat. But on the bad side of it, it's like you're breaking your back and you're not getting any relief that you need and you're not getting the balance that every job should have. That's my rant about that shit.
Sip a beer. Yeah, I want to say, so I'm gonna do a sort of a flip on that in a sense, right? Because I mean a different perspective on that because I went to school for film. I didn't want to go to college. I was hoping to graduate from high school and just kind of work in the industry.
Hit the ground running, yeah.
Yeah, and my parents, for the most part, I'm not going to put, it's not to say to blame them, but they put a lot of stress behind making sure I got my bachelor's because if this didn't work out, at least I would have had my bachelor's or, you know, whatever.
Right, and at least that's a check in
course.
many jobs' eyes of something.
Absolutely.
Which is bullshit anyway because, I mean, the bachelor's or whatever degree does not determine what work you're going to do at the end of the day at many, many jobs.
Well, of course. Anyway, 4 years later, got my bachelor's, and would I do it again? I don't know. I mean, the people I met there have helped, and I did make friends there, but I don't know if I would do it again. But that's neither here or there. But the point was...
Well, quick question before you go into that. Would you say the college stuff helped you get to where you are in terms of jobs currently? Or would you say you could have done that without the college experience?
No, I think because of college... Mm-hmm. The people I ended up meeting are the people I still talk to today.
Okay.
And there was one person in particular who I was friends with in college who stopped doing sound.
Oh, wow.
He left. He ended up pursuing, he wanted to be like a zookeeper.
Oh, wow.
And he just liked doing film on the side, sound in particular.
Yeah. Crazy change of pace.
It's a crazy change of pace. Yeah.
That's back to like what I was saying before, pursuing what you want to like do.
Yeah, of course. He liked both things.
Yeah, but one kind of drove him.
One drove him. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Though.
It's cool. No, it's awesome. And he was a very nice guy. And we haven't talked in many years, not by anything other than he just changed his industry, his world.
Yeah.
And I hope he's doing okay. But yeah, he wanted to be a zookeeper, so he actually recommended me to a job where I had applied to, and they were shooting in Texas. But what I didn't know was that they had a crew in New York that was going to Texas.
Oh.
They were trying to get a sound person in Texas so they didn't have to pay like the extra fee of getting over there, right?
I gotcha.
But the producer knew this guy. Mm-hmm. He couldn't take the job. So just out of a weird coincidence, he reached out to me and said, hey, I have this job. They're going to be shooting in Texas. They're leaving from New York. Are you interested? And then I found out, I put the pieces together really quick. It was that job. So I was like, oh, was it meant to be? And I really do think it was meant to be because that's where I met Sorrow.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And through this guy who I'm speaking of, he's a cinematographer.
Which is funny on a weird...
Because
splice of coincidence and small world being so fucking vast. He was a regular at my Starbucks that I worked at for 9 years. And I knew him, and I didn't even know he was a cinematographer until the older woman that worked at Starbucks, she asked him, and she was mentioning it she told me about that.
Yeah.
And only until then I was like, oh shit, you know film? Because I've studied film, loosely on the internet. Small world becoming.
It's just totally a small world. And then when we had the Halloween movie screening thing, and he came and you guys, oh fuck, I know you. It was just a weird world. But it's just the industry is such a small world, and it was honestly because of meeting him, we became really good friends, and I worked with him on many
to the
films.
point where even I've worked with him. To an extent,
yeah. But still, but we still work together, and he kind of helped me get more on set. But I wouldn't have been able to meet him or the rest of the crew, if it wasn't that I became friends with the dude from my college.
Gotcha.
Who became a zookeeper. So
wow.
I feel that college itself did I learn anything? I did, but I learned to just because the friends there I've stayed in contact with are all pretty much doing what they wanted to do for the sense.
Okay.
So yeah.
It sounds like it was less about the college experience and the classes and whatnot, but more about the connections that came in play because of that.
For sure. Yeah, that came more out of it than the actual studies.
That's one of those obvious things within the movie and film industry. It is very much about connections and who you know and whose paths you cross and who are you exposed to, who finds your work interesting, whose work you find interesting. Yeah. And it kind of goes like that.
I'm going to be straight up and honest with you. Film school is really just a bunch of bullshit. Like I honestly think there are things you're going to learn there, and there are professionals that will act as a acting professor that will teach you for that semester, whatever it is. And the college will also help you. They have connections to meet studios, get internships. Like they'll give you that helping hand, and I think that's great. Yeah. And you get to work with a group of people who are in the same skill level, or maybe a little bit better, or worse, whatever the case is.
But you at least get to be sort of that novice looking in at the expert or the person. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's 4 years. It's a lot of time, and I feel as though what I've learned off campus in the actual world, being on set with a friend of mine who went in union and had his own equipment and his own setup and working on these reality shows, working with him and learning that shit hands on and really running into the grunt of it and getting yelled at and screamed at and getting so time crunched and pressured and fucking a shot up because you got caught in on camera, or putting a microphone, the microphone falls, or everything sounds great and you had a good day. I mean, these are the things that film school is not going to really teach you.
Right.
They're going to teach you. You have 2 weeks to do this assignment on recreating this. Yeah. Versus what it actually is in reality is learning the pacing, the sort of film language, the sort of etiquette, in a sense. So leaving school and then doing this kind of was like a crash course. But this is all backstory that's unnecessary. But the point I'm trying to make is, till today, I've been doing it for 7 years. I love what I do. It's not even. I used to say I like it. I love it. I love sound. But the problem is, till today,
to this day,
you still get a lot of people. Yeah. Even though if they worked with you before, they're still gonna try to get you to pay you for nothing. Right. And it's a hard lesson I had to learn, and I'm still trying. Yeah. But it's a hard lesson I had to learn. Is even though I love what I do, you always got to know what you're worth, and the kind of amount of work that you're able to do, whether it be being able to do 50 repairs in a building and you're one person, versus being able to be able to mix 6 people at one time just by yourself. These are the things where if you're doing them, that's great, and you're only getting paid $50 for the day. Yeah, then it's kind of you got to fix yourself. So right. I think just flipping it around, because it's I do film, but the downfall for me is I feel like I fail at what I do is if I don't go on set knowing that I'm getting.
You're getting your
paid
worth.
The respect where I should be, and it's hard because sometimes I feel like, in order for me to stay in this business, I have to sometimes make those sacrifices, because if I feel like I'm getting too nitpicky, that you're never going to work again. Right. But in reality, it's you got to kind of take that, you got to move that fear aside and really be, have that tough skin. I don't know. I'm rambling here, but the point I'm trying to make is it's like knowing what you're worth is such a great start to kind of pursuing yourself to doing what you actually really want to do and kind of being happy about it. Because
right, of course.
I brought you on set on a couple of things with me. The last thing we went on set was that shitty short film we did. I think you were there for the day or so. The one with the hipster people.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I came back. This was last year. I came back from a cruise, and I lost work while I was on the cruise. We had to go away. My wife we had put money aside for vacation. We were always saying it's not the right time, and after the holidays, we're like, fuck it, we have to go somewhere.
You guys caught that vacation right before the.
This is before the honeymoon. Real. This was the year before.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah. So we put vacation money aside.
Good.
And then we were always like, okay, we're going to do it this month. We're going to do it this month. And finally, our Christmas gift to each other was the money we've been saving. We booked it, and we're like, now there's no turning back. Let's go. And while I was on that trip, I lost a lot of jobs. I had emails come in. And then I came back, and I felt like I was like, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah. Where do you pick up the pieces?
Where do you pick up the pieces? Yeah. And then we were in Starbucks editing one of the reviews we did on, I think it was Halloween.
I was gonna say it was us talking shit about the latest Halloween movie.
And I remember I got that email, and I didn't want to take that job, but I figured I had to. I had no choice because I had to make up.
Yeah.
And it was garbage. It was garbage pay. The job wasn't great. The people were nice, but it sucks. And I hate that. And I feel like we shouldn't really be in that position where we feel like we have to be forced to do it because you fear missing out, or you feel like you're always going to be making the wrong mistake or decision if you don't.
That makes me think of like actors and how actors kind of do the same thing with certain jobs. There are actors that are go-hards, and they need to have a role that it puts them through different levels of emotions, and it brings them to different things.
Yeah.
And then there's the realistic actor where he's like, listen, man, not all my movies are going to be fucking hits. I will put my heart and soul into a movie that I appreciate.
Yeah. But
at the same time, yes, you bet your ass I'm going to take some movies that pay my fucking bills.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Hallmark movie that's going to make ends meet. It's going to be a B-side flop that's not going to do what it has to do, but I'm going to do what I have to do in that film, and I'm going to get my paycheck, and I'm going to keep pursuing what I want to pursue with that money, as well as making sure all my ends meet. So,
well, speaking of which, and that actually is a good transition to what I want to bring up is so now we're talking about, what's the Harry Potter kid's name?
Daniel Radcliff.
So he's in Harry Potter. He's extremely lucky. He gets the role of a lifetime.
Yeah, we loosely mentioned it to each other, but you saw Guns and Akimbo, right?
That's where I was leading towards.
Sorry to jump the gun on your thought process, but I was just going to say, like, it's crazy how you think of, and I thought of this when I was watching Guns and Akimbo. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking Harry Potter, man.
Yeah.
I was a little kid watching him grow up on TV.
Yep.
Seeing him go from that to this movie now, and he's impressive, man. He's come a long way.
He's good in that movie.
I will say too, also in that movie, his accent is the least noticeable too. Like, don't get me wrong, like he's one of those actors, just like Tim Roth in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah,
Tim Roth is phenomenal in Reservoir Dogs, but his accent bleeds through every other line here and there, and you're kind of just like, oh, I don't think you should do that. But it's one of the things that you kind of overlook because he's so good, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
So Daniel Radcliffe's in that same sort of ballpark, but in this movie, you don't even pick it up at all. So,
and it's a bizarre. I mean, honestly, it's a wackadoo movie.
I thought it was like Kick-Ass on acid.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much. But it was fun.
It's colorful.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining. I feel like we jumped right to Guns Akimbo. Were you building something about Daniel before I overshot that?
You brought up actors, and I feel like then there's actors like him where you get a role of a lifetime as a kid, and then
you're set, and then
you could say you're set, and you don't have to do anything anymore depending on what their contract is. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, but then this dude, a lot of these movies he's taking, they're not like, he's not searching for like, not at least from what I'm witnessing, like these high profile Hollywood films. These are like sort of like low mid-grade budget films that are like, but it's the characters that he's picking are pretty interesting.
Right, like perfect example of that was another indie movie he did, Swiss Army Man.
I was just thinking that. Yep.
He played a bloated dead corpse that was like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
And he's probably the movie I watched it, I thought it was decent. It wasn't my favorite.
Right, okay.
But he was phenomenal in it. He played he played such a random character in it that was perfect, that went opposite of Paul Dano's character.
Right.
Just like in Guns Akimbo. He was great in that, but it was such a complex, crazy role for such a weird, sort of out of this world type movie.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that using that movie as an example, I think it just goes to show, like, if your talent is there,
yeah.
and taking that movie's a risk, because it could be a complete fucking shit show of a film.
Absolutely.
And then it turns out to be, not only is the movie bad, but then he's bad, and then it's like, and then he's suffering because he's not getting roles.
Right. It's
but
like, well, you did a pretty shitty job there, so I don't know if we should bring you back.
Right. And then, but at the end, it's like the movie's good. It's not great, but the movie's decent. And Daniel Radcliffe is pretty good. And I think you have to have a level of confidence in yourself to be like, this is going to be fun. I could definitely do this. Let's make this the best it could be.
I think he's there in his career at least.
Yeah.
Because he puts pretty decent effort into the flicks that he does. He's never. Yeah. I feel like he's never hamming it in from the movies that I've seen him do.
I feel like at the end of the day, he feels like he did what he could for that.
Absolutely.
And so just using him as the sort of motto, like, just to have that...
the litmus test, if you will.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I guess just to update where things have gone, and just to see how... I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Try again.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep all this in just to remind myself of how stupid I am. No, I guess just to tie it all together, we were on the topic of finances and all this shit. Financially, have you done anything different lately due to the pandemic?
Oh,
I feel like it's weird because I was employed for most of the pandemic time, right?
Right.
So I've had money, and because I wasn't going out drinking at bars or, spent a lot of money as I do on food, I sort of had like a sort of influx of money that I didn't really expect. So I started sort of like putting more money towards savings. I actually just started putting money towards Robinhood just to sort of play with stocks, but very, very low risk stuff, because I still don't trust any of that shit, especially given the pandemic time.
Right.
But I mean, that's kind of the only thing I've been doing financially. Otherwise, I feel like, have your finances changed much since COVID? So
we get paid on a sorry, I'm actually logging into...
You're fired.
Logging into Robinhood.
Oh, okay. Hold on. He's doing a live login of Robinhood right now. When was the last time you checked Robinhood? Before the pandemic, or right during the heart of it? I will tell you this much: when all the pandemic started, I didn't get the connection between the stocks and the pandemic. And then when things started dropping like crazy, I'm like, fuck, this is... Some people were comparing it as bad as, if not worse than, the recession from the late 2000s.
Yeah.
So that's when I started to go, okay, this is pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Like, I have $7. That's how much money I lost so far.
Damn. And you said you put in
$100.
$100 back in the day.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, $7.
Any power buying? What do you got in your power buy? $0.00.
$0.00. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Like $1. Yeah.
Shit.
Whatever. My finance... Okay, so actually, because one of the toughest things before Corona was you would do a job, and everyone would get the audio and all that stuff, but then you would have to wait 30 days for your paycheck to get to your in your hands.
30 fucking days? Why?
So because just the industry goes on that 30. That's usually kind of average.
Oh, okay.
And it's really tough, because it's like, unless you have money to move around to kind of work itself, you're
sitting there just dependent on pretty much a calendar.
Yeah.
Is your determination of when you'll have fucking spending money.
Yeah. So when COVID hit and work wasn't obviously an option, the doing any film related stuff, and I was getting unemployment, with that help, getting everything a week, the paycheck a week, I was able to actually save so much better, because all the money was coming in on a weekly basis. So I was able to move what I needed.
The consistency there.
Consistency. So I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do this whole money jumbling around. I had I had the funds, and I was like, okay, this goes to that bill, this goes here,
right?
And then so my finances changed a little bit because of just how it was, the sort of resources were coming to me at a normal pace, as opposed to my net 30s.
Gotcha.
I obviously, eating out wasn't an option because of everything, and dining in, we still ordered if there was an option, but buying stuff, I felt got a little more aggressive, like buying a movie or
like
a game.
Amazon or
Yeah, because so I would get like my last 2 paychecks from work. Mm-hmm. I put them aside. This is before unemployment kicked in. I put them aside, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna buy like a movie or a game.
Yeah.
And I would go and buy a game, and then I would, a week 2 later, I would buy another game because although COVID was
the itch has begun to be scratched, and then it's a downward spiral.
Yeah, because it's
flashing me back. I'm getting cold sweats just thinking about our half.com days.
Oh man, I mean that shit. You know what? Let's bring that up. So this is circa like 2009. eBay used to have a website called half.com.
Yeah, it was like a
eBay thing. Yeah. It was weird. It was weird. They're affiliated, but it was weird.
Yeah, because it was kind of like it was literally just the Amazon portion of used stuff. Because it wasn't like you couldn't buy anything new there.
No, not Amazon. It was eBay.
No, I'm just saying. But
it
was
gotcha.
Yeah,
yes.
it was like
sellers.
Yeah, it was literally as if you just took the used portion of Amazon, and it's all people selling stuff.
It made no fucking sense.
But
only
you
because
couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't bid. There was like new. There was used. There was possibly new. But the only good thing about it is like what we discovered at least.
Prices were great.
It was good for school books too, because I remember I bought a handful of books there. But it was once we discovered that sort of vacuum of cheap movies, it was like a fever purchase time where I remember. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I vaguely remember us being outside in either my yard.
No, it was your yard.
It was my yard. We're sitting in the front or wherever, and we were like finally going over our full cart of probably like 20 or 30 movies.
But we didn't make the full purchase until we got to my house.
Oh,
we actually
we were trying to narrow it down,
yes.
And I know there was some that I wanted a copy of that you both. So there was quantity 2 on a couple,
and we finalized it. Said let's sleep on it. You came over my house. We were up. I'll never forget. We were upstairs in my living room. We were watching a movie and we were looking at the cart. And then I remember turning to you. We were laughing and we're like, "Are we gonna do this?" And you're like, "Fuck it." And I remember getting super nauseous because that bill I think was like $250.
We did the checkout, and then after the fact, I was like, "Oh, do you feel sick?" Because I feel a little sick.
And that was 30 movies. I think. What do we? I know what I got from that. We got Dead Man Shoes.
It's weird because I remember Dead Man Shoes mostly, but I don't remember most of the other movies we got. I know we got a handful of horror movies. I think I got The Exorcist.
You bought The Exorcist?
Yeah, I bought The
Exorcist.
Exorcist.
We both did. We got the compilated. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I remember buying Sin City. It was a decent copy too.
I bought Nightmare on Elm Street. I think you got that too.
I don't think I did.
No, you did it because I bought you the Blu-ray.
Yeah, you got it for me after the fact. Yeah.
So I bought that. I bought the movie called The Horseman. Mm-hmm. Is that it?
We bought a few.
It was more than that. We bought a few. We bought a bunch.
I honestly don't remember. I have a feeling if I looked at my shelf right now, I'd be like, oh yeah, it was definitely that one, and that one too. But the sad part is I probably bought them and I still haven't watched them. The only one I did watch was Dead Man Shoes, but I'm pretty sure we watched that one before we
No, we watched that when we got it.
We watched when we got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
was a decent movie.
Yeah, not a bad movie.
That was a good one.
I never opened Sin City. I don't even know if the discs are in there.
I've opened that one. I watched it quite a few times, so I've put it to use. I've actually gotten stoned with Richard, my cousin, and we've watched it and psychoanalyzed it. And by psychoanalyzed, I sat there and I dissected it, and Richard was like drooling on himself. So, yeah. You know how it goes. It kind of goes either way when you smoke sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, you get philosophical or you get brain dead.
Yeah. You can grow a beard and you have a robe on.
I mean, it's like your opinion, man.